Hey, welcome back to Jazz Time. JazzTime.com is an online store that buys, sells, and trades authentic luxury watches. We make these videos so you can easily choose the best watch for yourself in the comfort of your own home. We offer the lowest prices anywhere online. If you'd like to know the price, simply click on the links in the description below. We greatly appreciate if you purchase your next watch from us at JazzTime.com. Today, we'll be going over a Cartier Calibre De Cartier diver in stainless steel, black dial, white Roman numeral hour marks, with pink gold and black ADLC bezel, reference number W7100055. Now, this is a discontinued model as it was in production for only around the mid-2010s, no later than like say 2017, but as you can see I am making this video in early 2021, so you can most certainly get one of these legacy Cartier models from us at jazztime.com, links in the description below. We'll be discussing the case, bezel, dial, crown, strap, the buckle, and the movement, along with my thoughts peppered throughout. Right from the start, this is quite a curious watch, and just looking at it, you'd probably think, oh, it's definitely a Cartier. It's got the Roman numeral hour marks going all the way around, and wait, index markers on the bottom half. Curious. Well, I'll get to that in a moment, but first, the case here is 42 millimeters in diameter from finger to thumb. It is 11 millimeters thick. Excellent design choice by Cartier because it actually beats out even the Rolex Submariner at above 12 millimeters in thickness. So this could actually double as a dress watch despite it being effectively a sports watch. Now this is water resistant down to 300 meters, as you can see at the middle of the offset small seconds hand there. All right, and it has a very fine beveling with high polish along the lugs there, as well as on the sides of the case. So it gives it that really nice, interesting, glowing look, as if all of these were separate pieces, just nicely pieced together with high precision, down to the crown guards there on the sides. Crown itself, high polish as well. All right. So, mostly satin brush finishing on all these major surfaces along the sides there. As you can see, it diffuses the light very tastefully, gives a very nice band of light, depending on the angle at which you view it. All right, and certainly you would definitely want that sort of diffused lighting reflection, because when you're going, down deep underwater, down to 300 meters, there's scarce light down below the sea level. At that, even below 100 feet, really. And so having, specular lights like on a head-mounted torch, for example, that would really, potentially blind sea creatures down there, and you don't really want that. You'd want, to be one with the sea life, at least, I would think. Now, onto the bezel. It is made of black ADLC, also known as amorphous diamond-like coating, with Arabic numerals, interestingly, not going with the Roman numerals on here, but that makes it very easy for most of us to read, at least. Again, pink gold on the outer knurled edge. It has a very nice accent to it on an otherwise, plainly colored watch face, but that nice knurling gives it that accent, and it also has a very good feel to it. A better feel than I've ever felt on any sort of unidirectional rotating bezel. And again, as it is a unidirectional rotatable bezel, that means it is for properly timing your decompression stops when you're underwater, and also is good for use as a timer when you are not using a chronograph, because you can just set the diamond or the zero mark to your minute hand and simply just count the minutes up to an hour. So a very convenient and good impromptu method of using a time grapher, really. All right, so on the dial, it is black with different types of surfaces, actually. We have sort of a matte black finish in the center with concentric circles going around the hour track, and back to that sort of matte black look along the minute track there at the very edge. So really interesting, and I believe actually tasteful use of different textures within the dial. The Roman numeral hour markers on the top half are very distinguishable, as is, as you would expect from any Cartier watch, with white index numerals on the bottom half. The Roman numeral hour 10, actually, if you take a really close look at it, not sure if my camera is able to focus that closely, but if you'll notice, it actually does have the name Cartier actually sort of bisected by that very thick stem of the X. So in the very thin part of the X, you'll see Cartier split perfectly down the center right there. All right, sort of what's very common about Cartier watches in general. They hide their name within one of the Roman numeral hour marks. Very interesting, very nice touch there. All right, so we also have the expanded date window at the 3 o'clock. Now, I was trying to sort of stall to get us there, but if you'll notice, the minute hand has a tendency to actually entirely cover one of the numbers on the date window. So Cartier actually went ahead and sort of added the day before and the day after within that date window. So presumably, if you need to glance at the date really quickly, you can sort of do some really minor math, minor mental math to get to the proper date. Obviously, the current date would be at the very center, as you can see with that tiny arrow pointing at the 2. I have it set to the second. It's not actually the second, but we can just pretend. All right, so note that the hands, the date window, and the small seconds are all surrounded with pink gold, much like that of this very tasteful knurled bezel. All right, so that gives it, an added accenting, and black and gold does have a certain aesthetic to it that just I can't really refuse ever. All right, and if you'll notice that all of this white is actually applied luminescence, and if I turn out the lights, you can see it very clearly here. All right, and note that the 0 mark does glow in the dark very radiantly, very nicely, so it is actually very easy to use while using underwater or in a very dark situation. Tiny little dot marks, well, more like squares, for each hour, very convenient as well. The large sword-shaped hands, fully illuminated, no skeletonization there, so you can rest assured you can know exactly where the center of the dial is. Large Roman numeral 12 makes it very easy to know which side's up and which side's down, as if you didn't know the location of the offset small seconds dial, also illuminated along its seconds track with the tiny sword-shaped hand for the seconds as well. All right, quite convenient. All right, and now onto the functions of the watch. This crown, also made of pink gold, adding more of that tasteful color accent to the otherwise very dark and sort of cold looking steel case. And if we also take a look, there's also that blue gemstone. I believe it is a synthetic gemstone, so if it falls out, there's no huge loss there. All right, and it would function almost as you would expect. Now, typically Cartier watches have their crown already set at the first position, so you can just simply wind it by default, but this one is actually a screw down crown, and I think that's actually a good decision here because it needs to stay waterproof down to 300 meters, and what better way than to just introduce a couple more gaskets, make it a screw down crown so you can ensure that water resistance. Very important if you're going to 300 meters or 1,000 feet underwater. All right, so first position, again, winds the watch, nothing too special there. Second position allows you to advance the date. Now, it takes an entire rotation, a full 360, to actually advance the date by 1. So if you need to advance the date really quickly, well, you may have better luck with any other timepiece that also shows the date, but that's not to say it's not functional. It's a bit cumbersome, really, because the throw does require an entire full rotation to advance it by a single day. And I don't think any of us are really being blinded by how fast I am actually advancing through the days, because it is still in the same month as I'm continuing to speak here, and finally we're back on the 1st. All right, so very far throw there. Pull it out to the final position, and if you'll notice, it actually hacks the seconds hand there, so you can then set the time by moving the minute hand for precise timekeeping. All right, rather simple. Press the crown all the way back in, screw it back against the case as you would just about any other watch. All right, and so what makes all of that work is the Calibre, or Calibre rather, depending on your language, 1904 PS MC manufacture Cartier, which is an automatic, mechanical, and self-winding movement with a diameter of 25.6 millimeters, a frequency of 28,800 vibrations per hour or 4 Hertz, as is relatively standard, with 27 jewels, allowing for a function of hour and minute center-mounted hands with small seconds hand, as well as the rapid setting of the date, all of which I had just demonstrated. The power reserve altogether is only 48 hours, but you know, I find it really hard to actually put this down for, you know, really a single day, because overall, if you don't really study this too closely, the overall aesthetics are actually quite amazing, and it is a very well engineered timepiece by Cartier. The strap is a black rubber strap placed inside with screws at the lugs, so it keeps it rather secure. All right. A black rubber strap with a very interesting texture on the outside, completely smooth on the inside, as you can see there. A little bit difficult to get the lighting just right because, well, it is absolutely smooth, aside from the Cartier logo on the inside there. Right? And the benefit to having a strap like this is so that you can effectively size the watch on the fly. All right, you have all the notches in there, very porthole-like, but it gives it that added reinforcement for that pin buckle, so you don't get the pin buckle effectively, you know, destroying your bracelet, your strap for you. The buckle there, entirely made of stainless steel, very much like that of the case. You know, it has very broad brushed finishing with very light, high polish accents. So same thing goes here. Very broad brush finishing along all of the directions there, laterally, and with a very high polish edge to the very tips, and the tiny vertices there makes it a very tasteful appearance with the offset Cartier logo. And I actually believe this is, while technically imbalanced, asymmetrical, it feels, you know, correct to have a Cartier logo on at least one of these sides, because I don't know that I'd like it crammed into this tiny spot where the pin goes. All right, and while we're here, we can actually demonstrate how this wears and how it feels on the wrist. All right, so keep in mind, my wrist is about 7.25 to 7.5 inches in circumference, so about average size for someone of my build. And so I can definitely wear comfortably at the second notch. All right, so you can be certain that, you know, while this is not a small watch by any means, it will definitely fit larger wrists very well. And certainly, as you can see on my wrist, it wears rather massively, definitely fitting of that, I believe, 44 millimeter. Actually, it's a 42 millimeter diameter watch, but it wears more like a 44. I'm not getting much of the strap there, but you know, that's actually okay in this instance, because a lot of this presentation, it has that wrist presence when it comes to size. You get the nice gold accent almost acting like as a halo around this, you know, extremely very well engineered timepiece, at least when it comes to function. And oh god, that sound, that feel, it's a very minor haptic feel, but it has a very nice sound that I believe, you know, just surpasses every unidirectional rotatable bezel I have ever felt and ever heard. So certainly when it comes to the sound, the wear, the feel even, it's the rubber is actually very soft on the wrist, and when worn snugly on the wrist, at least, you know, how I feel, with, you know, that very thin form factor there, slides underneath just about any suit cuff. You know, really, it gives it a very good feel. The weight distribution is not all at the top, as you would think for, you know, most diver watches. They tend to protrude quite a bit. This one is a pancake compared to all other dive watches, and certainly it feels very nice on the wrist. All right, but let me actually take you a little bit closer in here to the dial and the bezel. Now, I could have spoken about this before, but I need to give you my thoughts on this. After all of this, I have real questions about this Cartier. Why such a large Roman numeral number 12? Why is a small seconds dial so large and with such a large border? And surely you're not really likely to stare at that seconds hand as its dial glows radiantly in the dark. Why not have index markers for the rest of the hours? Really, the number 2 runs so closely to the expanded date aperture, and the 3, you don't even really see that that's a 3. It actually gets cut off and actually loses 60% of its own body. And if you're only 40% of a body, well, where's your body? The loss of the Roman numerals in the bottom half of the dial really makes it seem as if the designer suffered, some sort of altered form of left hemispatial neglect, but only on the bottom part of the large dial. Perhaps it would serve better to have all index markers, but honestly, it wouldn't be a Cartier without the Roman numerals. So that's quite a dilemma. Looking at the consistency of the Arabic numerals from the bezel to the date window to the small second subdial, there's kind of a faux pas there when it comes to typography and graphic design, where if you really have to resort to using more than a few different fonts, you've kind of actually gone into the deep end there. And while this watch is fully prepared to go into the deep end, it really didn't have to, like most of us. And I really feel that this timepiece kind of suffers from over-design, but actually that might be part of the charm. The over-engineering here has actually created, again, the thinnest dive watch I've ever held, with readability like no other in the dark. The feel of that bezel is second to none. The expanded date window, while rather large and kind of very high up on that hierarchy, visual hierarchy on the dial, it brings us a really practical sense that helps more than hinders. Have you ever had a week or a month where every time you've checked the date, you just seemingly always have that fat minute hand blocking your way? Well, no more, no longer with this date window. And in my eyes, what confuses me in the daylight is absolutely resolved by night and by function alone. So, well, enough of my thoughts, enough of my bickering, and I'm just sort of waffling on here, but what do you think about this watch? Let us know down in the comments below, and be sure to leave a like as it really helps our channel out. Be sure to share this video with anybody looking for their next watch, and don't forget to subscribe. Click that bell notification so you can be notified when we go live with another video. And don't forget, if you want to buy this or any other watch, be sure to put in your order at jazztime.com. Links in the description below.
Find out more about the watch you just saw in the video, you can just click below on show more to see the full description. Then you can check the link next to model as seen in video, click on it and you will get to the proper page where you can see all the details. If you're watching on a mobile phone, you have to click on the arrow down on the right hand side below the video to see the full description. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. If you would like to share this video with your friends, you can use the share button below and share it on any platform you like. If you have questions, constructive feedback, want to tell us about some mistakes or misspeaks, just write a comment below. If you want to see more videos like this, you should subscribe to our channel and visit our channel page where you can find all the videos. And if you're interested in a specific watch brand, you can check out our playlists. If you want to check the price for a watch or want to buy one, remember at jazztime.com you always get a steep discount, so you should check the prices with us. If you want to know the price for a specific watch, just go to Google, type in JazzTime, plus the brand, model and the details you're interested in, and Google will find the right page for you. Thank you for watching.